Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending the time you are watching us. Welcome to the Bridge Writers. This is a free activity and a partnership between UNESCO and Isaac. And today we have with us Guilherme Kunz. He is going to discuss a very interesting subject, Matatozin, self-research and writing. That's the name of his presentation. And let me introduce Guilherme to you. So Guilherme de Oliveira Kunz is Brazilian university professor with a PhD in mechanical engineering. In Conscienciology, is a volunteer since 1997, an instructor since 2001, a Penta practitioner since 2004, and an Epicon since 2017, and he volunteers with the CI Consecutivos right from its start, yes. He is also the organizer of the books ECP2 Manual from 2018, a Complementarium First Decade 2013, and he is the author of the book Matatozin Manual from 2015, which he is reviewing at the moment, increasing some more material, and hopefully we'll have the book translated into English right after it gets published again in Portuguese as well. Okay, so it's all for you now. Guilherme, you can start when you wish.
Thank you, Liliana. So let's talk about Matatozin today.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here, guys. I would like to thank you, Isaac and Liliana, for the opportunity to talk about Matatozin. My name is Guilherme Kunz, as Liliana said, and I have been researching this topic since 2012. Okay, we have two main objectives with this presentation. The first one is to share with you some rules and questions to help you to find your Matatozin. And at second place, I'd like to help you to understand how can you use our Matatozin in our self-research and writing. Okay. So, guys, feel free to ask your questions at any time during the presentation. Okay, let's start. Let's change the... First of all, why is it important to do self-research and writing? Or why is it important to publish your experience and self-research? Okay, in the beginning of this presentation, we'll talk a little more about the principle of disbelief. Well, so to answer these questions, we have to review the principle of disbelief. Do not believe in anything, not even what we inform you here in this presentation. Experiment. Have your own experience. This is a fundamental approach of conscienciology. In other words, we are the best person to study ourselves. So, to study any kind of object, we need to interact with it to observe it, right? So, for example, we need light to interact with an apple to see it. The soma, our body, for example, is easy to observe. It is known that consciousness is not the body, but the body is part of the expression of consciousness. Your voice, your action, and your thoughts are also expressions of your consciousness. But we can also observe more detailed angles. For example, your multidimensional interaction, your karmic relations, or even your hollow memory. All of them are much more complex to observe. For example, we can understand who you are by observing or analyzing our actions in the past. This action should expand our vision of consciousness. It implies change in ourselves in the present. In other words, self-research has, as a consequence, change in the consciousness. It is the key, or part of it, to our change in the intermissive course. But I will talk more about this later in this presentation. To avoid self-research mistakes, we should base our self-knowledge on our self-experimentation. All our experience can be analyzed. Our family, work, relationships, lab experience, where variables are better controlled, such as temperature, light, labs at campus, projective labs, parapsychodynamics, and of course, the difference is in the scientific approach of all experience. Let's talk more about the principle of disbelief. This principle was introduced by Dr. Vieira. The principle of disbelief is always present in books, courses, and lectures. What kind of observations can we do about this fundamental principle in conscienciology? First one, avoid a priorism. It reminds us of avoiding concluding without some level of experience. For example, if you have already had an out-of-body experience and you are in doubt about this, the right thing to do is to try and replicate that experiment or propose a new experiment. In other words, another experience that will validate the previous one or not. A priorism is the tendency of a person to quickly discard a new information, and this approach removes the opportunity for that information to be useful. A second approach is the Magister Dixit. The principle of disbelief indicates we should avoid accepting an idea only based on who say that. It doesn't matter who say that. What matters is the information. This avoids dogmatic approach. The third one is reflection. For each piece of information or experience, there are layers, a lot of layers of understanding. So, at first, you will understand only a part of that experience. And as time goes by, increasing our maturity and our set of experience, we tend to expand our comprehension about this phenomenon. For example, if you look back, for example, something that happened in our childhood, when you are a child and experience something, you had an approach to it. But today, looking back, you have a deeper approach, and you can see other variables that you may not have observed at that time, right? The increase of your capacity for reflection and questioning yourself about the subjects is essential to the research. The questioning should not be a question that blocks the research. So there is a limit, an extreme of questioning that prevents the consciousness from following its path, and the other extreme is the total lack of questioning. So there is some level of questioning that is important to do. Our focus in the cosmoetical questioning. That will help the researcher to propose new experiments. All research starts with a first question, and sometimes questions could be more important than answers, okay? Because questions improve your research. The next topic is experience. Experience is fundamental for a researcher to increase their cognition. Not only about these phenomena, but about your energetic perception, clairvoyance, projection, interaction with concepts, and so on. All of this is important to increase the framework of experience. When you are writing about our experience, it is important to classify the difference between hypotheses and facts. They are different. Hypothesis needs more information to be validated. A fact doesn't. A fact is a fact. We don't doubt facts. Because of this, again, it's important to separate our notes in hypotheses and facts and not mix them. For example, a short time is needed to create a new hypothesis most of the time about an experience. But a long time is needed to understand that experience deeper. A long time gives us complementary experiences to verify if that hypothesis makes sense. The last idea about the principle of disbelief is to be realistic profile. Doesn't mean that we will discard all observation and hypotheses that have low probability, because probability doesn't work so well in this kind of research. The facts will support your hypothesis, and with time, your hypothesis will gain more strength or not. For example, if you have an experience, I should record it, and it is important to separate what is a fact from is the hypothesis. When we come back from astrophysical to the physical body, for example, some laws of formations happen. It's normal. The hypotheses help us to be aware of research questions, but this must be separated from facts. In time, these hypotheses will be reinforced with complementary information in your research. So, facts and hypotheses must be recorded. If we record only hypotheses, new facts may lose the connection with the previous experience. We must always take in consideration that at the moment, our vision is not complete, the moment of the experience. It is only part of reality. And new experience will complement its reality so that we can take more advantage of it and complete the picture, complete the scheme, and have more panoramic vision of reality, right? But how can we know if our approach is right? Our approach about our self-research, or our approach about our experience. To help us in this challenge, we must share and usually write and debate. This is very, very important. It helps us to get feedbacks, and it is a good opportunity to see different approaches to the same or close experience. This is a kind of cycle, studying, experimenting, sharing, debating, writing, studying, and it started again. Okay, this is about the self-research and the principle of disbelief. Let's go on. But where is the matrix in here? Okay, to explain that, we have to understand more about the to seen. What it means to seen. The synology is the specialty of conscienciology that studies the to scenes, thoughts, feelings, and energies. Self-to-seenity is the permanent mechanism of the expression of consciousness in all of its manifestations, in any consciential dimension. Therefore, the to-synology has a theory and practical approach. So, as you can read in this sentence here, understand how the two scenes are created and how they interact with the environment and people is very important to understand more about your experiences. For example, is this to scene mine, or is it from another consciousness? What is my pattern of thinking? Am I lucid to see the change of my two scenes? Think about it. On the basis of conscienciology, we have the two scenes. It is important to understand all of our experiences. We must be lucid about all two scenes that we get. All of them, they are important. I had a projection these days, and I was talking with a friend about his family in this projection, and I knew his sister, but I didn't know that she was his sister. This happens because I hadn't thought much about that. So, and it was important about that experience So autosyn is important, and we need to establish connection between them. So to establish this connection, we have to think more about this, okay? To understand more about our multidimensional experience, we need to know more about the scenes communication. And we are communicating our two scenes all the time. It doesn't stop. Okay, let's go on. And how about matter to scene? What means matter to scene? Matter to scene is the modern idea, the matrix of every development of thesis, theory, or essay. The leitmotif, the master pillar or predominant to scene in any personal, group, or institutional hollow to scene. This concept was presented by Dr. Guilherme in 1997. Let's see some synonyms. Like, for example, we have 3 examples here. Consensual synthesis or synthesis of self-evolution, identifying the common elements of the manifestation of consciousness, the reason for being or existing of something or someone. There's a lot of synonyms that we could use, but I selected these 3 here to you guys today. Let's go on. Antonyms, for example. What is the connection between matter to scene and to scene? Matter to scene is a type of to scene. Matter to scene is the basic idea of your to scenes. Matter to scene is not a hollow to scene. They are different. Hollow to scene is the whole package, the group of your to scenes, all of them. So it is different than the root of your to scenes. Hollow to scene is like the results of your matter to scene. Here we have 2 examples. The first one, scientific hollow to scene can have the matter to scene of analysis or the analytical to scene. Okay, they are very close ideas, but they are different, as you can see. The bellicose hollow to scene can have the matter to scene of conflict or the counter to scene. Again, they are close, very close ideas, but they represent different approach of the consciousness. The standard to scene is related to your way of thinking, your way of process information, how you organize the inputs from the environment. It is more close to a paradigmatic approach. The predominant to scene isn't necessarily the matter to scene. They are very close to it. Again, a predominant to scene isn't always the matter to scene. Matter to scene is at the root of the hollow to scene. A predominant to scene is a more present to scene in a hollow to scene, but it can be the same sometimes. There isn't a general rule here about this connection between these 2 ideas. For example, you can have a predominant to scene of money, but the matter to scene could be ambitions. But sometimes they represent the same word. They can be represented by the same word. Let's see some analogies. I like very much this part. I think this is very useful. I will present to you two analogies. The first one, the tree and the seed. Imagine that. If you get a lot of seeds from the same tree and plant these in many different places around the world. We can see in this picture a tree in the middle of the desert. The desert, inside of Amazon forest, and many other places, in different places. What will grow up from the seeds? Of course, the same tree. Maybe with a little difference because of the environment, but the same tree. What is connection to the matter to scene? It's the same idea. Your matter to scene is the same, or very close. Life after life, your matter to scene is getting better than the last life. It doesn't matter where we were born. Later, we will talk more about how can we change our matter to sin in a lucid way. Because of this behavior of matter to sin, Dr. Wald wrote, you can read here this part. The matter to sin is the best thing you have achieved in any existential dimension. In other words, it is the best thing you have achieved because there isn't a way to lose it. The matter to sin is always on. But again, the matter to sin is getting better life after life. It has been qualified, but it has been qualifying based on the old one, like layers, okay? The matter to sin of analysis, for example, is going to the matter to sin of the multidimensional analysis, or the matter to sin of strategy is going to the matter to sin of the cosmoetic strategy, or something very close to this, okay? Must be a connection between them. Okay, let's go on. Another analogy that I like very much, this analogy here is related to the propeller and the helm. The propeller can represent the wheel and the helm can represent the direction. Is it the matter to sin represent the direction of your wheel in synthesis? But both are important. There is a sentence that says the direction is more important than speed. It doesn't matter how fast you are going if you are headed the wrong way. I don't remember exactly who say that, but I agree. But how fast you are in the right direction, okay? Fewer mistakes we can do. Let's talk a little about some benefits of studying matter to sin. Okay, the first one, I have 7 benefits here. First one is consciometry. It allows the consciousness to identify its personal tendencies as well as the motivational roots in different areas of life. The second one is charisma. Grow up the consciousness energy. It results from the use of the modern idea directly associated with the function's performance. The next one, group of analogy. It allows you, by the principle of attraction between consciousness, the matter to sin of the groups. Understand the matter to sin of the groups. Figure out the matter to sin of the groups is better. Number 4, the new verbum. It amplifies the capacity for the association of ideas and the acquisition of original ideas. I will talk more about this later in this presentation too. Proaxis, it helps you as a new variable in decision-making in proaxis. Serexology indicates possible groups in which the consciousness may have participated in the past. And the last one, the volunteering, it increases the motivation and productivity in volunteer work by aligning or adapting the personal matter to sin with the matter to sin of the consciocentric institution. Let's go on. Let's talk about the time. Time is important when we are talking about matter to sin. The matter to sin, as I said, is always getting better than the last one, mainly in long-time observation. Okay, but the matter to sin can temporarily get in a different direction, temporarily. For example, a mini matter to sin, as you can see in this square, blue square here, this event. A mini matter to sin represents a matter to sin from a sporadic event, like someone fighting to live. If you analyze a person in this condition, he or she will have a specific matter to sin related with this event, specific event. You can analyze a phase of line or entire intraphysical life, and you should figure out the matter to sin of that life, as you can see in the other squares here. But our goal when you're mainly when you are talking about sexology, is to figure out the matter scene of successive lives. It will help you to understand why you develop some of your skills. Okay, we must analyze our matter scene depending of the time. We have some different types of matter scene too. The consciousness matter scene is the matter scene of the consciousness, as we can. In that case, we about this presentation here. The home matter scene is the case. In this case, derives from the physical base. A city matter scene, for example, when you are talking about New York, we can say the can have matter scene of money, or Washington to power could be related. A multidimensional matter scene, for example, matter scene of commonness. When you are talking about the matter scene of places, we are talking about the matter scene made by people who manifest in that places, right? But it improves the matter scene of the place, and it starts the attraction of people with similar matter scene. This is very, very important, and it creates a strong matter scene in that place. Okay, it's very important to understand. Okay, let's go on. Next, qualifying questions. Here I select two questions that I think they are very important questions to understand the matter scene approach. What do you do for a simple pleasure of doing? Do you know? The next one. When there is no need, one creates the demands. So, what kind of demands do you keep looking for? Both questions are very important. Imagine someone having the same matter scene for a long time, very long time. For example, engineers, like me, like to solve problems, but when he or she doesn't have any problem to solve, what they do? They create their problems to solve, okay? They like to solve problems, so they create problems to solve. This is normal. This is related with the matter scene of the people. It happened in any place that we're born. It helps you to understand why you have this or that temperament. For example, help you in this topic, what kind of groups were you involved with, or think about that. If you are doing for many years or many lives, what kind of skills are you developing? If you have the same matter scene for many lives, the leitmotif, your leitmotif is the same in many lives, what kind of skills are you developing? Okay. Next. Here. There's a direct connection between Megason trade with matter scene. Here we have some examples of Megason trade and matter scene from the book Megason Trade by Diane Rosa. She's here. Here we have some Megason trades and possible related matter scene as scenes as an example. For example, the research matter scene could help you to develop an analytical Megason trade. Pacifism matter scene could help you to develop an anti-conflictiveness Megason trade. Ambitions matter scene could help you to develop a boldness Megason trade. Inventiveness matter scene could help you to develop a Megason trait of creativity, as some examples, okay? Interstitiality matter scene could help you to develop an availability Megason trait. Cosmetic planning matter scene could help you to develop organization Megason trait, and the last one, communicability matter scene could help you to develop a parapsychis Megason trait. Okay, these examples are not rules, of course. They are only ideas to help you to connect Megason trait with matter scene. They must be some coherence. let's talk about facts now. How can you identify your matter to sin? First of all, look for the facts, your choices, your preference, not the idealized preference, but the real preference. Look for the choices using facts. The facts indicate the matter to sin. This is very, very important. And at second time, the matter to sin helps you to explain more facts, more than the first one analysis. For example, in the left side, you have the first analysis. We have a lot of facts, and with these facts, we can see the matter to sin. You can figure out the matter to sin. And the next time, when you already know what is your matter to sin, you can explain different kind of facts that wasn't in the first analysis. Okay, it's the left and right side of this picture here. Okay, this is a cycle, psychoanalysis and synthesis cycle. Let's talk about techniques. These orientations here indicate some possible paths of matter to sin research. Okay, we usually analyze the professional choices, volunteer work, family, and hobbies. This main technique is in the book Matter to Sin manual. We will, as Liliana said, we will translate the book as soon as possible. But today I will share with you some techniques and questions to help you to understand more about this topic, the matter to sin. For example, let's see, I will come back. Let's see an analysis of professional choices. Why did you choose a specific work? Okay. Why you didn't choose another specific work? Think about that. Another person may, in the same situation, have chosen differently. For example, why did you choose to be a physician? You can say, I don't know. Okay, this is a common answers. It's very common, but you can question, for example, but why not engineering or a lawyer or a policeman? When you start to ask this kind of questions to yourself, it will help you to get closer to the right answers. Okay, you must question about why not this way and why this way. Both of these questions will help you to get closer to the right answers. There isn't a good or bad answer, only your answers. You don't need to justify why the matter to sin doesn't have a why. It doesn't have a logical reason to, not a logical reason that we know. Okay? Any questions, please? Let's go on. Analysis of one's personal library. Looking at all the books in your library, personal library, what can we know about the library owner? What book could be writing with this reference? Your books represents a sample of your preference. But we need to analyze all of the books, but it's normal. Or you can say, but some of my books are from my job, okay, but they are yours. You choose that specific work. It is important in this technique here. It is important to analyze all of it, okay? And the second question is very important too. What book could be writing with this reference, okay? Think about this. The next one, number 2 here, analyze your line of creativity. If you are for along with the same matter to sin, you must have ideas about stuff, a lot of ideas about stuff, because you have thoughts a lot about this, life after life. A person who is thinking and acting to make connections, for example, or communicability, have more thoughts about this topic than I, for example. So she or he must have more synapses about this than I. You can get some clues about this looking for these questions here. In which area can you contribute more? In what situations are you most productive? Second one. In which topic do you tend to have more original ideas? Okay, I will connect this with practice and TMAX later in this presentation. Okay. I must talk about groups too. This is very important because of the attraction principle. The main idea is that people with close matter to scenes can make work groups, productive work groups, like a team or even a TMAX, astrophysical team. If you have a matter to scene very close to matter to scene of a concept or even a TMAX, it can help you. It can help your interdimensional communications. What kind of thinking improves your energies and expands your mind? What kind of ideas improve your interdimensional connections? Both questions are very important to establish these connections between your matter to scene and a TMAX or astrophysical helper matter to scene. Okay, the matter to scene is very important. I think matter to scene is very important to make groups, productive groups. Because the hypothesis is that these ideas are closer to the matter to scene of a TMAX. It's a possibility. With that, I can ask to you guys, have you ever observed the thoughts that orbit your head? Or, another one, have you ever closely observed the consciousness that surround you on this planet? We need to do an intraphysical analysis too. Let's talk about family. What is the holotocene of your family? What is the matter-tocene of your family? As a team or a TMAX, our family follows the same rules, the attraction principle, but there is exceptions, of course. Do you have precognitions? Why this question? Because when it's difficult to identify matter-tocene of your family, retrognition can help you. If you remember something about your past life family, it can turn on the lights to your family today. What these families have in common? This is very important questions too. We have a lot of important questions here, of course. The next one, number 5, conflicts. What were the most relevant conflicts you were involved in? Why did you get involved? Why did you stay in that conflict? What were you defending? Which values? We generally ask these questions because some months ago, Milena and I were looking for the matter-tocene of a personality, using biographies to do it. And we try to look for some inexplicable choices that personality. And in that case, it was difficult to understand why he did that, why he started a conflict. In this case, the fight was the key to understand the matter-tocene. It is like to looking for inexplicable choices, okay? The next one, analysis of invitations. Why do people invite you for specific projects? What do they have in common? When others look at you, what do they see? For example, a good organizer, a communicator, a thinker, It's always good to see what are the first things that people think when they are thinking of you. This technique is here is close to the profile technique that I will show you later in this presentation, the last technique in this presentation. Okay, let's go on. Any question, please send me. Onomastic analysis. What is the meaning of your first and family name? Is there any relation to your matter-to-sin hypothesis? Sorry. In the analysis of the matter-to-sin, the person name usually has some connection with the matter-to-sin, but it is the last mile, not the start of the research. If your name has a connection with your family and your family has a connection with your matter-to-sin, the family name can improve your past research and help you to identify your family matter-to-sin. But again, it is the last mile because it's easy, it's very easy to get a wrong idea about the matter-to-sin looking only at the first or personal family name. We need more information. We need a lot of information in self-research. I would like to suggest to you 2 books about this. The first one, Consensogram, Vieira 2019. You can have access to it in Editários website, Portuguese version, and English version on Isaac website. And I'd like to suggest this chapter, Autoprophylology, in the Dictionary of Arguments of Conscienciology, Vieira 2014, page 398. This book only exists in Portuguese, but don't worry, we had part of this chapter translated for you in this presentation here. Let's go on. In the Dictionary of Arguments of Conscienciology, we have the last technique of this presentation, the profile technique. Look for the profile closer to you. It's difficult, but it's possible. But you have to choose just one profile, just one. You can create a new one if needed, but must be only one. This is a tip from Dr. Valdo Vieira. He said that if you identify one of these profiles closer to you, it is a tip to identify your matter-to-sin. He said that it's difficult, but possible. It's difficult to identify the profile closer to you, but it is very useful. It's good to try. You must try. Let's see some of them. I will read all of them to you, and I will show to you some examples or possible matter-to-sin related with this profile. Okay, only examples, guys. Affectionate profile can be related with matter-to-sin of connect, word connect. Analytic profile could be related with matter-to-sin of research, as we said before. Bioenergetic profile could be related with matter-to-sin of will. Clairvoyant profile could be related with matter-to-sin of communication. Clairtascal profile could be related with the matter-to-sin of seeking the truth. Communication profile could be related with the matter-to-sin of people connection. Cosmoetic profile could be related with doing the right thing. For example, only examples. The pertological profile could be related with the matter-to-sin of freedom of thoughts. And entrepreneurial profile could be related with matter-to-sin of entrepreneurship. You have more. Epicentric profile could be related with matter-to-sin of being a leader. Genetic profile, intellectual profile could be related with matter-to-sin of knowledge. Max-Den profile could be related with the Nilberpon. Multicultural profile could be related with the matter-to-sin of understanding. or genetic profile. Could be related with the matrixin of memory, for example. Only examples. Again, parapsychic profile could be related with the matrixin of communication. Penta profile could be related with assistance. Polychemic profile could be related with the group. Let's go on. Political profile could be related with the matrixin of group movements. Professional profile, racial profiles, research profile, self-coherence profile, self-relay profile, scholar profile, teaching profile, and the last one, veteran profile. I don't have examples to all of them, but the main idea is show you some examples to help you to find your profile. We have many people, again, we have many people with the same profile, but with different matrixin. Okay, again, I give you some examples only. If needed, again, you can create a new profile closer to you, or closer to your profile. Okay, let's go on. Coherence. This is very important. We have these and much more different variables from the same person, so they must have a coherence between them. Okay, here we have some. I will talk to you about some short definitions about these topics here. For example, Megason trait. This is the personal trait or skill that helps you the most in your personal growing process, your evolution, and your maturity. If you want to know about more about this topic, there is a presentation about this topic with the researcher Diana Rosa. Heteropassword. This is about the password left for yourself in the past. Mega focus, the maximum evolutionary objective. Temperament, it is related to a lot of characteristics that make up the way you express yourself. And last one, matrixin, reason for being. We already talked about this, but in synthesis, it is the root of your motivation. Why I am talking
Guilherme, about. Can I just add something that may help for people that want to follow this research, this type of research? Consecutivos offers different consultancies about these main things, like, you know, there's a course, a very fantastic course about retropassword, but there are also consultancies on Megastrong trait, temperament, matrixin. All that helps you in your self-research, right? And putting things, you know, connecting all these bits of information, all these clues. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. It's not the main focus of this presentation talk about all of them. There's much more than this, but the idea here, as Liliana said, is talk about the coherence between these variables. Okay, but there is other courses that you can do to understand more about this. Thank you, Liliana. Why I show you these topics here? To talk about some examples to help you to understand the difference between these variables. Okay. For example, what kind of Megastrong trait, heteropassword, mega focus, temperament, and matrixin does a runner have? Okay, I will show you some examples only again. What kind of Megastrong trait a runner can have? Possible Megastrong trait is resilience. Example could be example. What kind of temperament a runner can have? Competitiveness. Okay, they have some connection between them. What kind of heteropassword a runner can have? Victories. Resilience, competitiveness, and victories, they have some coherence. What kind of megafox a runner can have? middles or podium. And the last one, what kind of matter to sin a runner can have? Self-overcoming could be an example. Again, I only show you some examples to help you to understand the difference between these variables. Okay, let's see another example here. What type of Megatron tray, heteropassword, megafocus, temperament, and matter to sin does a detective have? Okay. What kind of Megatron tray detective can have? Could be analytics, could be an example. What kind of temperament a detective can have? More introvert, could be an example. What kind of heteropassword a detective can have? Cryptography. What kind of megafocus a detective can have? Information. And the last one, what kind of matter to sin a detective can have? Will to discover the truth. Okay? All of these examples are only examples to show you the coherence between these variables. When you know one of these variables, it helps you to understand another. Okay? Because they have a coherence between them. Okay, let's go on. Let's talk about the intermissive course. The current personality matter to sin must always be better than the previous personality matter to sin, whether from another intermission or from another intraphysical life. Next one, the intermissivist always change his personal matter to sin for better after the intermissive course. Both sentences here are from Dr. Vieira. The main idea here is to understand that the matter to sin is always getting better life after life. It is always getting better. We can visualize it in these images here. Okay. In the first line, the black line, the horizontal line, is the timeline. It's a timeline. It is going from the past to the present, this life. Okay, and life after life, we have intraphysical periods and extraphysical periods in different places and different environments. But as Dr. Wald said, the personality matter to sin is always getting better than the last life matter to sin. And we can see it in the next image. We can see it in the red line in the next image. We have little chains of the matter to sin in the beginning of the red line, as you can see. And in the intermissive course, we can see big chains. Again, the intermissive always change the matter to sin, and the matter to sin should improve. But why? In the intermissive course, we have a better view of our lives. And in the intermissive course, we had an introduction to conscienciology, and it changed our perspective and our matter to sin. We have new experience too. I will talk more about this later too. Okay. Today, for example, we are working on this. One of our priorities is to improve our matter to sin. Our proaxis has a connection with improvement of our matter to sin too. These both graphics here explain this sentence from Dr. Vieira. Okay. But how can we qualify our matter to sin today in a lucid way? We have to think about how to use the group matter to scene to improve your matter to scene. A good way to make change in matter to scene is to work with a group. Here we have individual plus group equals synergy. The matter to scene of the concentric institution is the essence of its reason for being or for existing in a society. A conscientiology volunteer must observe the convergence of his, her matter to scene with the concentric institution matter to scene. The greater the convergence and affinity of the matter to scene between the consciousness, the greater the productive evolutionary synergy of the group, be it a teaming or a team X. Together we can do more. Vieira 2014. For example, if you would like to improve your matter to scene, what can you do? If you like to improve your matter to scene to be closer to the astrophysical helper, for example, physical helper matter to scene, you have to work with an astrophysical helper in Penta or doing assistance, for example. The goal is work together with people that have a matter to scene that you want. So I don't believe that it's possible to change the matter to scene only thinking about this. You only like to do something that you have some experience of. So you have to have some experience to change your matter to scene. How do you start to like something that you don't know? The answer is becoming available, exposure, and interaction with the helpers to change your matter to scene for a matter to scene closer to the helper's matter to scene. Okay? To learn to like something, you have to touch this thing. Liliana, do you have some examples about this multiculturalism? Could you share with us?
Yes. We were discussing when we were talking about this, that, for instance, if you want to become more universalistic, more fraternal, more, have to start maybe with multiculturalism. And for that, definitely, as you say, for us to be interested in something and to be, it's important that we interact. And for that interaction, you need to get in touch with the people, in this case, different cultures, different ways of thinking, and need to get in touch in a very, not experimental, maybe, it's just in your, fortunately, I was able to do this on a daily basis, in your daily routine, getting in touch with different people from many different cultures and countries and, and religions and all that. Makes you more open, more flexible, more adaptable, more tolerant, but more than that, it makes you like, multiculturalism per se, but, because you like people and, and you're interested in your interactions with them and how you can interact and interassist, so I think it's a very valuable thing. So it's that, you need to get in touch with the thing on a regular basis. Only that's the first approach. That's, the first steps.
Yes. For example, in consciology, it's good to want to change the matter to scene, have some interaction with the places. For example, SIAC, participate of the dynamics or psychodynamics and this kind of places and groups, different places and groups with different matter to scenes to understand better how it works. We have to use more these places to change our matter to scene.
Both intraphysically and extraphysically. It's always multidimensional.
Yes, wonderful. Okay. The last analogy to understand better, in a better way, how can we change our matter to scene? Okay, comparing a personal hollow to scene to an electromagnetic field, the direction of the pointer of a compass inserted in this field would be the equivalent of its synthesis or the direction of its matter to scene. Let's imagine a compass with a tendency, like us, like in our matter to scene, okay? As if it had a electromagnetic field. Let's move this compass to another place, and in this place, we have a strong field. This strong electromagnetic field will move the compass pointer, right? You insert the compass inside of a huge, strong electromagnetic field, okay? You will change the compass. And when you remove this compass from that electromagnetic field, it will come back to the same self-oriented direction, but with a little difference. Not in the compass, but I am using this to help you to understand how can you use the matter to scene of groups and places to change our matter to scene. Okay, this work like a matter to scene, but to it happens, we must be open to the interaction and be lucid to improve this interaction. For example, some person can be isolated in the middle of the crowd. As Liliana said, we have to be open to interact with different kind of people and different kind of energies, different kind of hollow scenes and matter scenes groups to understand more about this. Okay, this is the last analogy to help you to understand this. Let's go on. But we must talk too about writing, as I say in the beginning of this presentation. How can it help you in the writing process? What is the purpose of the text you are writing beyond the objectives? What your main purpose? If this is clear to you, it can help you to keep logic to achieve the goals of the publication. The clearer it is for you, the clearer it will become to your readers. If the matter to scene of the writing is close to your matter to scene, it will improve your connection areas. I talk about my example when I was writing the manual matter to scene book. I only could understand and started my fully the writing of this book when I understand more, understood more about the matter to scene. And for example, my matter to scene is closer to discovery, for example, this word, discovery. So I don't like to do things that I know. I like to do things that I don't know. So to improve my writing in this book, I had to create some questions, understand and look for some questions that I don't know to improve my writing. At the same time, I don't like to do mistakes, so it's difficult. Imagine that a person that like to do new things but don't like to do mistakes, so it's difficult, but it's happened. So it's example how can you understand, how can you use the matter to scene for writing. Okay, so guys, we are in the end. As I said before, discovering your matter to scene will help you improve your self-research. If you had a similar matter to scene for many lives, is it okay? It helps you to understand more about your choices and mega strong trait, temperament, heteropassword, and get more connections about past lives, as an example. Okay, guys. thank you, everyone. This is the end. Liliana, we have some.
We have some time, and we hope we have interesting questions.
Okay.
Any doubts? Please feel free to ask now.
I would like to ask one question. You mentioned about temperament, and we know that temperament is very hard to change. It's one of the last things. The very last one is the parabrain, but the temperament is the one before. So my question is, how do you see the relationship between this qualification of matter to sin and improvement of temperament? Can we say that qualifying our matter to sin is a must to change or to qualify to improve our temperament?
Yes. Both matter to sin and temperament are difficult to change. Okay, both of them. And there is a connection between them very strong. I understand, I will show you how I understand it. The matter to sin is the root of your will. Okay, so depending on the environment, it will change your temperament. For example, I like to discover new things. Depend of the environment. For example, environment goods. If I were born in a place that it's a good time to discover new things, I will be more comfortable to discover it. If I were born in a place where the people don't like to discover new things, for example, a dogmatic approach, it will change my temperament because I will have to discover. Matter to sin is always on. I can't change it. But I will not talk about this to the people because the environment is not good to it. The behavior the environment is not good to it. So there is a connection. If you change your temperament, it influences your matter to sin. If you change your matter to sin, it will have some influence in your temperaments. There's a connection between them. Both of them are difficult to change. They are the same for many lives. Because of this, both are good variables to understand our sexuology studies. I don't know if you...
Okay, I was just thinking about what would be easier to start with, maybe. If change or qualifying my matter to sin would help me somehow to advance with the temperament.
I don't know. The easy start is what you know. If you know something about your temperament, start with your temperament. You know something about your matter to sin, start with your matter to sin. But in the end, both will work together.
Yeah. And I guess there will be many variables for this. I mean, in one life can be one in favor of change or qualifying your matter to sin. Another life would be more difficult and favor your temperament. I mean, the experience you are exposed to are different.
But do you know your matter to sin?
I have some hypotheses. I'm just trying to go deeper into this reflection.
Okay.
But it's not easy. I know it's not easy.
Matter to sin is not so hard. What I think is hard is the selection of the word, the best word to explain your matter to sin.
Yes.
But it's not so hard to identify. But the selection of the word is
yes.
It's hard. It's not so easy. But you don't need the best word to start your research, start your change. You need a word that can explain most of your choices in your life.
Okay, thank you.
More questions? Everyone knows already everything.
I have a
Vladimir,
question, Liliane.
please.
Can I? Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate on this program, and congratulations to you and your team that organized that, and for the good explanation from Guilherme today. Guilherme, what I wanted your comment is what you said at the end of your presentation about the investigation of past lives. That's not my priority, okay? My priority is writing at this moment. My first priority is writing. But I like to study the past lives. So I have no hypothesis, firm hypothesis about that, but I am not putting too much energy on that. But what I want your comment or opinion is, for instance, I like to study the history or moments in the past, for instance, for example, the Middle Ages, wars. That's not because I like war or Middle Ages, but I like to understand how they live in the past. So when I do that, I put my current matter to sin with that matter to sin from the past. So I consider the Zeitgeist. So I can watch a movie with a lot of violence, for instance, wars in the Middle Ages, no? And that does not affect me. But many people avoid to do that. Oh, no, I don't like violence. I don't want to see just comedy or light movies or things. I also like that. I like comedy, I also like. But sometimes I think it's necessary for the sake of study, for the investigation. So when we get in touch with a matter Pentocene from the Middle Ages, with a lot of battles and violence and deaths and that stuff, how do you have any kind of recommendation or technique for that condition not affect your current condition now or your matter to sin, or that there is no correlation? What's your opinion?
I don't know if I understand exactly, but let me know if I am right. And you have the same matter to sin for many lives, okay? Very close matter to sin. So, but today, after the intermissive course, it started to change in a cosmoetical direction. For example, strategy, wars and strategy, as you were talking. We can, and as example, okay? You can be changing your matter to sin from strategy to cosmoetic strategy in the entrepreneurship, for example. Okay. In the past, depending of the place that were born, when you talk about matter to sin, is always on, as I was saying to you. If you were born in the middle of a war, you will apply your knowledge about strategy in that war. It's the same matter to sin, but it depends of the place that we're born. It will show in differently, depends of the place we're born. how your strategy, as example, okay, how your strategy will show in the political environment, or war environment, or religious environment, or scientific environment. It's the same matter to sin, but in different places it will show different. It will show different. But today, again, we are going to the matter to sin healthier, cosmetic way direction after the intermissive course. So to study past lives, we must know, you have to figure out your matter to sin, how it was before the intermissive course, because today it is different. You understand? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if I answer is right, but I don't know if
in part, you have answered most of my doubts, but I want to know, for example, when you access the past matter to sin that was not cosmoethical.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if I'm watching a movie for 2 hours about a war, or a recent war, or a war in the Middle East, of course I will see a lot of violence, and that matter percent is totally different than today. So do you think that condition, I know that depends on each people, each experience, everyone is different. What would be a way to avoid any kind of interference in your current moment?
EV, I don't know how to say EV.
Vibrational state, yes.
Vibrational
Yes,
state is
vibrational state.
In any kind of research,
before, during, and afterwards. Sometimes it's like when you visit, for instance, you go to different countries and you do some touristic, tours, and you go to some specific places where things, lots of violence happened and stuff like that. You always have. That's the first thing we have to remember is, vibrational state before, during, and after.
Yes.
For sure.
Even with watching a movie, for example.
Yes, it will not change your matter to sin today. Your matter to sin is always getting better. It's not possible going back.
I particularly, I'm not affected by that. I know to separate the ideas, and I understand the zeitgeist. I watch that without any problem, by the purpose of study, not because I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the
purpose is cosmetic purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing is, obviously, there are many people that see these kind of movies and they don't see it because they get too affected with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is for sure, they don't have enough, self-defense, energetic self-defense, because I don't think this is going to change their matatozin today. The only thing is they get affected because they don't have enough self-defense. They don't know how to clean.
Maturity. Yeah. That's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
May I, Liliana?
For sure. Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, Guilherme, I remember when I did your consultancy specialized in mater Tolsene with Milena, and my doubt was how much my name could show me about my mater Tolsene, or how can I study my mater Tolsene using the means of my name, my names. Okay, first, the second, and the last name. So, and I saw your presentation, and I know it is a technique, but if you have more examples for us.
Yes.
Would you like to give yours?
Yes, please.
Milena and I, we work in the assistance about the discovery of figure out matter scene of the people. And in our experience, most of time there is a connection between the name and the matter to scene, but we only can understand this after figure out the matter to scene. As I said in the presentation, it's very difficult to start the research looking only to our name, or family name, or first name, because there is a different kind of meanings that same name could be, could have, and this is difficult to. It's not a good variable to start. But most of the time, there is a connection between the name and the matter to scene. I don't know why exactly, but it's happened. In my case, for example, my name, my name Guilherme in English, it's come from William in English and Wilhelm in Germany. And I show you the example, the analogy between the propeller and the helm, and the wheel and the helm, and I did a connection between Wilhelm and my name Guilherme, but in a English version of my name. So I wrote this in the Manual of Matter to Scene, the book, and it was a connection that I did after started with in the writing of this book. There is a lot of examples. I don't know if Luciana knows. Diana, would like to share some of your examples? Okay.
That would be interesting if you would like to share.
I need to translate the means of my names to share first.
But in your case, we found a connection. Do you remember?
Yes. It was very interesting because I didn't expect, or I didn't understand how it's going on. And it was very interesting that moment.
Diana, your first name is English, right? Comes from the English Diane, right?
Yes, but the connection with Mater Scene, it was very interesting, and I didn't realize before.
Yes, well, it was very cool. It was very cool. Yeah. I remember that.
Will Luciana would like to share with us?
The connection between my name and my mater scene is very interesting also, because there is a relationship. Well, the mater scene is take solution, right? Okay. And my name is Luciana, lucidity, light. Solution is a light, right? You have a kind of light. And my surname is Lavor. That means labor. So take solution somehow is labor, work with a light. And so I can see the connection between the both mater scene and name and surname. It's interesting, but as Guilherme said, first time I've never find my mater scene just with my name, but after I found my mater scene, I could do the connection between them. So it's very interesting.
Yes. We start looking for all the facts, and I show it in that image. We have a lot of facts, and analyzing all the facts, we can figure out the matter to scene. And after we figure out matter to scene, we can create a related with the name, with other facts that we didn't analyze in the first time. It's very cool. It helps us to explain a lot of things.
Guilherme, one question. Okay, talking about additional factors that you can correlate the matter to scene. What about the characteristics, the matter to scene, common traits from different countries for that people that moved very frequently from country to country? Have you evaluated this possibility of like some common traits, or that you have some places in Europe, Asia, and so on?
No, because it's very difficult to analyze matter to scene only from only one variable observed. We have to analyze a lot of facts. We in the book, in the main technique that I wrote in the book, we have to analyze minimum something close to 20, 24 different facts and 24 different motivations in the life of the people, the person to understand more about the matter scene. So, but I don't have any idea about this kind of trait with matter scene.
Guilherme, you were talking about this case that you are analyzing based on biographies without naming the person. Can you give us an idea what were the main variables, or how, what was the matter-to-scene that you found out?
Yes, in this case don't follow the rule, the main rule. We didn't analyze a lot of facts. We are looking for inexplicable facts, things that was not there isn't a reason to that guy do that. So we found it in this case in the conflicts, and what was this? We have to see all facts, but sometimes a good start is looking for inexplicable facts. Why that person do it? There isn't a reason to he or she do it. So why they do it? This is a good start and was the clue that we used to understand the matter scene of that guy. And after that was easy to create more connections between that matter to scene with a lot of facts, but in the beginning was very difficult to figure out.
Yes, that is very interesting. That kind of also reminds me that when we are studying past lives and we study, what are our affinities, the things we feel more affinity with. But many times we forget the things that we don't feel affinity with. This is also very important. And sometimes they are more telling. The things that you don't want, that you don't like, that I don't want to touch that.
Liliana and Guilherme, just a quick commentation. I made a quick research here. My name Wagner comes from German Waganare, which means, I will say in Portuguese, construção de vagões ou carroças. So I don't see any correlation with my mother.
No, this is just one name. This is just one thing, right? Building wagons.
Building wagons, yeah.
Building wagons is just one little thing. There's a lot more to it, for sure.
Yeah, we have to investigate.
Yeah.
As I said, we have to read the name, understand the name from different ways. For example, Luciana to light, or in my case, I have to I had to change my name to the English version and separate part of my name.
And then to German to understand.
In the German to understand more about this. But as I say, looking only for the name or last name or first name, what else, is very difficult to do a connection. We will have to analyze a lot of facts, and the last mile you can do it. It's very useful. It's cool to analyze this. I like to discover these things.
Discovery. Yeah, and the thing, when you do it, using the techniques that are used at consecutives, you gain a lot of perspective, about yourself. That's, for me, I mean, each person is a different person, but when I want to do self-research, but I want to understand it in a broader way with perspective. Not just, oh yes, here is my, I don't know, the strong trait and the weak trait, and this is what I'm, I always need to have a wider view of things to be able to understand deeper as well.
Liliana, when you defend your self-verbete, did you make a correlation with your matertocene on that time?
No, I did not, because I'm still researching that. It's still, I have several hypotheses and I have not yet defined. So one of the things, I want to do a consultancy because I want to go deeper. At that time when I did the autoverbete, I didn't correlate with the matertocene. Although I have an idea, but, I want to go deeper and discuss it and get feedbacks, and because that's the thing. It's also important when you do your research also, if you can talk with others and get feedbacks and, and discuss, because sometimes there are things that are very clear to other people, but they're not clear to you. They go, if it goes under your nose, sometimes you don't see it, right?
Yeah, it's because by that time, I saw some correlation about your name and surname on your.
There is a lot in my name, right? Especially, and I put it very clear in the autoverbete. There's a lot that goes in my name. My name is like a map, a road map. Very funny. When you put it all together, it's like a road map. It's really funny in that aspect. Yeah. But it's always work in progress, more and more investigation.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other question? We are closing the time, if that's okay. So I want to thank Guilherme for the wonderful presentation, and how clear he makes things. I think that it really helps you to understand this complex subject much more. And I also want to thank everyone in the room and your energies, your contribution, your presence. Thank you to all of you. This year, the Bridge Writers will end on the 26th of December with Pedro Fernandes will be presenting for us. And we all hope to see you there on the 26th. Until then, bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.